Hi, I'm John,
And I'm Paul.
and this is the Minute Podcast.
If you give a mouse a cookie, I'm pretty sure he'd write a book. But give us 60 seconds of footage and we'll tell you where to look. With a concept this simplistic, it's hard to say if it'll last. But give us just a minute and we'll give you a podcast. The Minute Podcast. Thanks for joining us again. As you know, this is the podcast where we take a listener-submitted minute of content. Maybe it's from a movie or a TV show or something someone found on the internet, and we analyze it. We look at what's interesting, try to figure out what's happening, and come up with our own theories. And John, what are we looking at today?
All right, so today we're discussing the a clip from a television series called just Three Kingdoms. It's the 2010 version specifically. I'll put the link to the YouTube video that we watched in the show notes. And we are specifically looking at the at a minute of content starting at 36 minutes 30 seconds.
Yeah, I think this is the first minute that has not started on the minute that we've ever done. So it's a real milestone for us.
Benchmark. Yeah, benchmark episode. It's okay, we'll get into that later, but yeah.
We certainly will. And by the way, this episode is brought to you by Nobody, makers of obsessively engineered nothing. If you're looking for a better nothing experience, visit your local Nobody dealer today, or go to nobody.com/minutepod for more information.
All right, so we're going to start with what our current level of understanding of the thing we're watching. So the Three Kingdoms, I have, general knowledge that it is a Chinese historic book story that's been adapted in a billion different video games or has been referenced by video game. Video games are what I know, and I know it's had a lot to do with video games. I'd imagine it also has a lot to do with other things like television series, books, and other things. But it's really old book, I believe, or series of books. How about you, Paul? What do you know about the Three Kingdoms?
Well, quite a bit less. I had to ask you for clarification on the exact geographic area we were dealing with. I feel like I've probably seen similar things. It's hard to tell with this specific minute of footage if I've ever seen any of the show before or not. I suspect I have not, so I'm going to come in at about 0% understanding.
I mean, I've watched historic Chinese dramas before. Not a lot of them, or even those dramas to completion, but the clothes and everything and the title makes me think that this is ancient China.
Well, I believe it. It definitely looks like it. So just a quick intro to set the scene on what we open onto here. We open onto what looks like the aftermath of a battle in feudal China to a very, very dirty warrior with long hair looking at a baby surrounded by many other very dirty men.
Yep. And so if we think about this, I think that one of the defining features here is that the baby is adorable, and it's also wearing a tiny little little hat, and
baby hat.
And so everybody seems to have super long hair and really intense armor. Even the dirty guy who seems like he's been put through the ringer is wearing stuff that would put the best Renaissance, entertainers to shame by any respect. It's pretty amazing stuff.
No, it's definitely impressive costume work. But before we jump into it too much, why don't we do a dramatic reading of the script?
Yes, let's.
All right, so there's 3 characters in question here. The first, who we're calling Long Hair Don't Care because he has long hair. He does seem to care a lot, but the name's just sort of stuck. We also have an extra, who we're going to call Extra.
Yeah,
and,
I'll be playing the extra.
Excellent. And his lord.
I'll also be playing his lord.
Great, that leaves Long Hair Don't Care for me.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay. He's awake. My lord, young master has returned.
Young master? My lord. Wait.
Why did you do that? It's fine, keep going. Why did you do that?
Sai Long, for the sake of the infant, I almost lost a cherished commander.
My lord. My lord, my lord, even if I die the cruelest death, I cannot repay your kindness.
See long. ...
End scene.
End scene.
Beautiful.
Yeah, smooth transition there.
One thing we did not clarify is that this movie is just subtitled, or the show is subtitled in English, so that may be the only English reading that's ever been done, as far as I know, and that makes it the best.
Yes, the best English reading of this show. Yeah, I mean, maybe they can hire us for the dubbing.
I suspect they won't.
For international release.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is spoken in Chinese, is our assumption, at least. Neither of us, I believe, has a wealth of experience with the Chinese language.
Certainly not.
No. Which is why we did this in English and not in Chinese.
We should have done that. We should have read it in phonetic Chinese. Anyway.
Yeah, that would have been, I don't know, it could have been borderline racist. I'm not really sure how well we could have pulled that off without just sounding like idiots. Yeah. I mean,
I wouldn't say borderline. That would definitely have seemed really racist. But let's talk about what's happening during the script, because it doesn't completely do justice to the scene. It starts with Long Hair Don't Care handing a very cute baby to his lord. And John, what does he do with that baby?
He the lord, in this case, he accepts the baby into his arms and then just drops it off to the side off camera. Now, in a way that like one taking like a sack of flour and being like, I don't want to hold the sack of flour, I'm gonna just like throw it on the ground. It's like very apathetic in a way that no baby should ever be thrown.
See, I don't know. I think. I mean, I agree. No baby should be thrown like that. That's not the argument I'm trying to have here. But or at all, ever. Yeah. The Minute Podcast does not recommend baby throwing, baby tossing, or general baby huckery. Yeah. But I think he did more than just sort of drop this baby. I think there was a good 6, maybe 8 feet of clearance that the baby got when he sort of hucked it off scene.
It was definitely off camera. Like when I mean,
distance.
I guess I'm just like, because it's only like he basically just got barely off camera, but I guess that is probably about 8 to 12 feet. He would have to throw it horizontally just to get there. And I think that they do show like one of the extras around, like try and like he just sort of squats for a second, like as though he's trying to catch the baby. I think that's their like nod towards like, we're not monsters, like we're gonna have this guy look like he's kind of trying to catch the baby. Like I want to be honest here. Okay. In a situation where a guy throws a baby in my vicinity, I want to think that I'm the kind of person that would at least try and bend a knee to catch the baby.
I think so. Yeah, it's like the bare minimum of what a human can do. But I thought that in general, the crowd's reaction, because as we said, there's a lot of very dirty men around in the scene.
Yes, there are.
Almost no one reacts to this baby tossing.
No.
The extra goes to try to get him. What's his name? Long Hair Don't Care. Seems upset. But everyone else just kind of stands there.
He seems vaguely bewildered, and that's when he's like, is it? Why did you do that? It's the English translation to what Long Hair Don't Care says.
It's a weak reaction to someone tossing a baby.
Yes. Why did you do that?
Why did you do that?
Why did you do that? Yeah. No, there and I assume by like, so at the beginning of this, Long Hair Don't Care does present the baby like a Simba sort of pose, except he's like on lower ground, so it's less like this is the baby that's going to rule the Sahara sort of thing, or like Serengeti. I forget Lion King. I need to watch the Lion King again.
I think it was the Sahara,
but isn't that a desert? Anyway, doesn't matter. Over all of the Disney landscape, right. And but instead it's like up to his lord, and his lord takes it as like hook, and then he's like. Why did you do that?
You know what it reminds me of? Have you seen the GIF that someone made of the Lion King scene where Rafiki's taking Simba up to the rock, but instead of just holding him up, he chucks him off the edge?
No.
That's basically what happens here.
That is kind of what happens here. Except, I mean, like, I feel like there's a potential that the baby didn't die. Like, he didn't huck him, like...
That's true, and he was pretty well wrapped up. I think a baby might be able to survive
it was
that.
Underhanded. Like,
It's true.
It was
yeah.
an underhanded throw, like a gentle throw. Like, you know, if this was like
More of a toss.
yeah, exactly. This is like elementary school ball we're playing here. This is we're playing t-ball. We're not going to be or coach pitch or something. We're not going to be like chucking kids overhanded like.
Well, not if there's bats involved, especially.
No, not
So
with that.
this gives me a thought, John, that I think we have room here for a new recurring segment,
Okay.
which is greatest baby tosses in movie and TV history.
Okay. Now, is this gonna get a music sting?
Well, it doesn't have one yet. It
doesn't
might
have-
later, so stay tuned for future episodes.
Okay.
But for me, off the top of my head, there's 3, right?
Uh-huh.
3 Kingdoms, which may have the best baby toss because it's so apathetic.
It is, and it also happens so briefly. Like, if you were to take a sip of tea while watching this and then look up, you'd be like, "Where'd this baby go? There was a baby around here?" And then like it's just the 2 guys embracing, and then there's no So yeah, Three Kingdoms
So,
definitely.
3 Kingdoms definitely up there. The Labyrinth has some great David Bowie baby tossing.
You mean okay? I want to argue this.
Okay.
I think that the Labyrinth is technically kind of baby Fushigi-ing, or whatever the contact juggling is. It's just that in baby
interesting.
form. So I actually think that the Labyrinth may be sort of an asterisk in here.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's Fushigi-ing, right? Or
John,
Fushigi?
I have no idea. I believe you.
Okay.
Fushigi.
Fushigi.
And then the third is that there's a scene in Tropic Thunder where I think it's Robert Downey Jr. just chucks a baby out of a hut, and he just gets some great air underneath of him. So I want to include that as well. Do you have any additions for greatest baby tosses in
Baby
movie and
tossing.
television history?
I feel like there's some movie where like a baby gets like launched out of a mom's uterus or something, but I can't place
It's probably
any type
true.
of movie. It's just an image that comes to my head. Something I'm sure scarred with as a child.
Something you watched in health class in middle school.
Oh yeah. Oh god, probably.
All right, well, we can save that for the next segment of great baby
Greatest
tosses
baby
in
tosses
movie
in
and
movie
TV history.
Yeah, movie and TV history.
Yeah. So this undertone in this minute really seems to be the ancient Chinese bromance that's happening between these two.
Yes, between Zilong and his lord.
His lord, who is unnamed.
Well, and in this minute, I'm sure he has the name at some point.
Well, we don't know. We only have this minute to work with. Did
No,
you notice
I'm not
how-
arguing that. I'm just saying, like, I'm not bringing outside information here. I'm just saying, I'm sure he's named. I mean, like, why would just some guy that holds a baby be named and not, like, the...
Oh, I guess that's true.
Lord?
He's not an unnamed extra who comes onto the set.
Yeah.
He's actually uncredited in this episode. It's a real shame.
Yeah.
No, I don't know that that's true. But did you notice the amount of hand holding that was going on?
There was...
this
Okay, so...
It's just great.
So let's paint a word picture here.
Yeah.
Zilong seems to be, like, bent over at sort of, like, you know, the Z piece from Tetris? Like, that sort of shape. With his arms outstretched and his like knees bent, and he's kneeling with his arms out. And then the Lord seems to like start off like standing, but then slowly figures out like embracing Zilong's arms is kind of awkward if you're not also sort of like squatting down a little bit.
It was pretty awkward.
Yeah, and so they're just like grabbing onto each other's arms while saying like Zilong saying like my lord, even if I die the cruelest death, I cannot repay your kindness. Now, is the reason for this okay? So basically, is his lord? He's let's peel this onion a little bit. So
Okay.
this Zilong has like this baby that he's rescued for some reason. I assume a good reason.
Yep.
And he brings it and he presents it, right? And then the Lord goes like, don't need this baby. For the sake of this baby, or like because of this baby, I almost lost a cherished commander. So I am now connecting commander with Zilong. So Zilong is obviously an important military figure, correct?
Oh yeah, I think he's one of the commanders in his lord's army. It's hard to say if he's the top commander. I don't think so.
Well, he's
based on
the
context,
most
but
cherished, it seems.
Well, that's definitely true. The eyes he was making.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the whole thing is like the crap you just went through is meaningless to me because I don't want you to die seems like kind of not the best outcome of this situation.
Well, I was going to say that, yeah. The fact that his lord is so concerned about Longhair Don't Care's well-being that he's trying to make a dramatic gesture, and the best thing he can come up with is tossing the baby that Longhair just rescued. It's like, no, I just went through a long military campaign, we assume. I'm very dirty. I may have had to have killed several people, and this is what I brought you. Don't just throw it away. That's not nice.
I mean, this could just be some random baby, and, like, it still isn't worth... Like, even if it's not a special baby, like a Simba baby, it still could be, like, you know, an important baby to Zilong at this point. I mean, presumably, like, it took him more than just, like, 5 minutes to walk, like, from one place to another. Like, this isn't like Zilong was, like, rescuing this baby while, like, you know, walking around a small trail outside of, like, their military camp post, right? Like, this had to have been, like,
he didn't just find him, yeah.
This is also not is this the first episode?
I didn't look.
I didn't look either, but I can't imagine that this is, like, you know, the first, like, this must have been some amount of time that he's rescuing this baby, and here he is, like, just tossing him aside. I'd be kind of pissed off if I was Zilong.
So I think we can agree, Zilong should definitely be pissed off, but what if you were one of the other men in the army who's gone along on this long adventure, let's say, a couple weeks maybe to rescue a baby, I don't know how long that sort of thing takes, and you get to the end, and your lord's there, and he's getting the baby, and you feel good, not only because you did a good job, but also because you saved a baby. That's like an objective moral good, I would think. And then your boss just chucks the baby. Like, the morale of the entire army has to be shit.
Yeah, no. I think, like, just looking at the other soldiers, I feel like one of the things that I notice is that they just seem to accept anything that's going to happen. It's like, it's almost like this is a scripted event, and they just know what's going to happen. And they're not particularly good actors, so they're just like, okay, you know, we're fine with everything that's happening. Any surprising event that could happen right now, we already know about. So we're perfectly, except for the one guy who tries to get the baby when he tosses him. Or maybe he was hit in the knee by the baby. Like,
maybe that's what it was. He's actually not helping. The baby was just a projectile weapon.
He's just like, damn, why'd you throw it at me?
It's possible. But what did you think about the bedroom eyes that his lord was making at Longhair Don't Care? I mean, the difference in their two expressions I thought was interesting. Longhair seemed nothing but admiration for this man.
Yes.
And his lord, I don't know. I think he might have had different intentions. What did you think about the way he was looking at Longhair Don't Care?
Well, I think that the Lord is generally a good-looking guy, right?
True.
And I think he also just sort of generally has one of those faces that is, like, sad and compassionate, except towards babies, obviously.
One of those faces that always looks like it's trying to seduce you?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think that, you know, you're drawn into the power. And that's just sort of where, you know, and I think that that's part of it. I think Zilong needed the baby to confirm, you know, the love he has for his lord, and that it's returned is basically it.
By returning the baby to the ground?
There's a lot of returning going on.
It's true.
Are babies from the ground, Paul? Is that?
I mean, I didn't
like
see that same.
I
didn't see that same video that you did in middle school health class, so I'm not sure. Can't speak to it, but
we're basically from the same place, Paul. We probably saw the same videos in middle school.
Several of the listeners don't know that, John.
That's true. Several.
Yeah. It's hard to say. So, what do you think happened to put Longhair Don't Care in this situation? What do you think we missed in the preceding 36 minutes?
Well, that's another thing is, like, I'm kind of wondering if Longhair Don't Care sort of went off on this journey himself. Like, was he ever, like, told to go get this baby? Like, maybe this baby was not, like...
It's not a welcome baby.
No. In fact, maybe, like, you know, whatever force he was saving it from, maybe that's where the baby belonged.
Maybe it was a sacrificial baby.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, what was he rescuing the baby from? What do you think, Paul?
My theory is that a rival kingdom of some sort actually stole the baby from this lord. Maybe they're trying to ransom him back, maybe disrupt the line of, you know,
succession.
Kingdom inheritance succession. Thanks. Maybe that's what's happening. And I think that the Lord sends Longhair Don't Care on a rescue mission to get the baby. I don't know if he sent the army with him or not. We don't have enough context to really know.
Are you saying like Longhair Don't Care here is like the James Bond of this like Chinese military kingdom?
Well, the only interaction we see him have with another person is with his lord, and he seems to effectively seduce his lord. So that's the most James Bond thing that I could think of.
It's true. I mean,
It's
like,
1 for 1.
So you think that they have like an M Bond sort of relationship, like vaguely like fraternal / like there's obviously something there. You know what I mean?
Does that make the extra who went to catch the baby Money Bunny?
Probably.
Not
like,
sure.
Doesn't really know what's happening. Doesn't know if they should be concerned about the baby. But is kept there by M and Bond, who are perfectly fine exploiting Moneypenny and her resources.
I think
Kind of
that
feeling
must
bad
be
for this
what's happening.
this extra now.
Gets hit with a baby.
Doesn't
Maybe
know where he
someone's
stands.
assistant.
Obviously, isn't getting that much love from his lord.
Although more than the baby, so...
That's true. But yeah, I guess the baby is the one I should feel worse about.
But somehow it's hard to.
It
Yeah.
is. Well, okay, I am thankful. Now, like, don't get me wrong. I never expected this to be a real baby that they were tossing. But I do like that they make it obvious that they, like, whenever they cut to the baby's face, it is obviously, like, a over-the-shoulder camera, completely different set. Like this is not the same baby.
It's true. There's no baby abuse happening here.
I mean,
as
like,
far as
in a
we
way,
can tell.
he is returning the baby to the ground because, like, this baby was probably a Cabbage Patch Kid, is what I...
Baby is literally a sack of potatoes. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, it could be. Well, okay, we've talked about the preceding events. What do you think happens after this scene?
Okay, so I don't know if we're allowed to use this, but the on the side in the up next and autoplay features of YouTube,
Ooh,
I can
context
sort of
clues.
insinuate some things.
Okay.
First off, no outdoor scenes in any of the other Three Kingdoms, like little thumbnail
Okay.
images.
It's too expensive. Yeah.
And there's a lot of people laying down and in very luxurious clothes. So I can't help but feel like the rest of this is like a bedroom drama.
You know, it might be, and that fits reasonably well with what I think is going to happen, which is that we're going to see the development of a complex relationship between his lord and Longhair Don't Care, with Longhair's feelings of admiration and respect contrasted with his lord's sexual advances, and I think it's going to be uncomfortable.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Man.
we could both be right.
I kind of want to watch this show now. Like,
Well, we're not to the recommendations yet. We have to save that. But,
okay.
But before we get to the recommendations,
I'll
right?
sit on that baby of a recommendation.
Don't sit on the baby. What can we say to the listener then? What is our summary of this show? What do we think it's really about? I mean, I already said I think it's really about the development of this relationship between Longhair Don't Care and his lord. As little attention as they pay to the baby, I think the baby's not really a big part of the show.
I would assume so, considering the baby is most likely this is the last episode with the baby in it, I assume. I mean, like, there's no way that, like, that baby was off on stage right now, and like, just squirming there, probably concussed. So I imagine this is not about the baby. I think that it is a movie about, or a TV show about relationships. And I think that's it, because all of the soldiers aren't looking at the baby when he throws the baby, except for the the kneeling guy. All of the soldiers are looking at these two characters and are like, what's gonna happen next? Like, ooh, I'm gonna tell somebody about this when I leave. This is
It's a live soap opera happening in front of them.
Exactly, and I
Interesting.
think that's what this is.
All right, well, does that make you want to recommend this show?
Well, I am a huge sucker for any soap opera, so yes, it makes me want to watch the rest of the show. I want to find out what Zilong and his lord get up to. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, I do understand. How many babies can they toss? But that's my real question: is if there's more baby tossing involved, I'd probably watch the show. If it's just a relationship drama, I don't know. So my recommendation is that anyone listening recommends this to one of their friends, gets them to watch it, find out what it's about, and then decides whether or not they want to watch it. It's a more complicated recommendation than usual.
It's more complicated. Like, you're like, hey, I know this show that you're going to love. And they're like, oh, okay, I'll watch that. And then they come back to you and it's like, man, I really want to talk to you about this show. And you're like, oh, I've never seen it. I just wanted you to talk. I just wanted to test out like a guinea pig. What would you call this sort of recommendation? Is it like the guinea pig recommendation? Or
That's what it's called now. Yep. The guinea pig recommendation.
The science recommendation?
Yep.
The guinea pig recommendation? All right, guinea pig recommendation.
That's what it is. Also, the name of the episode.
Well, obviously, one of our listeners knows this well enough to pick out the baby throwing minute of this thing, so maybe they can tell us whether or not the rest of it's any good.
That's fair. We'll definitely reach out.
Yeah.
So, any last-minute thoughts then, John?
No. In fact, actually, now that I mention it, this was recommended by Robert, who I know through the Duck Feed Slack. So, thank you, Robert, for recommending this minute.
No, definitely. All right. Well, that's the end of our episode for today. As always, you can reach us at theminutepodcast@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter @minutepod. This episode was hosted by Paul Reberg and John Ward, produced by John Ward, with theme music by Paul Reberg. And again, a big thank you to Robert for recommending this week's minute, the most baby tossing we've had in a minute so far. So it's another milestone.
Also, our first, non-English language minute, which is great.
That's true. This is really...
Which we appreciate.
That's true. We do not require that minutes be in English, and if there's no English in them, we'll come up with our own scripts.
Yes. Oh, God, Paul, no.
I shouldn't have said that. Well, thanks for joining us
now
today.
Now we have to.
For another episode of The Minute Podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks, bye. Holy crap, you made it to the end. We'll be back next week to do it all again. Until then, be well and be sure to take a minute. The Minute Podcast. Cast. Cast.